Good morning. Welcome to Unity in Marin. We welcome all of you who are here physically with us, and we welcome all of our wonderful online people. We thank you for joining us today. And, we've started. Hello, we've started. People are watching us online. Thank you. We have an excited group here. They're connecting with each other. Some of the folks here haven't been here since, for over a year. And we have a number of photo albums and videos that are going to be playing out in the narthex after the service, plus my interview with Reverend Bill will be playing in here after the service. And so we want to thank you all for joining us. We know that this time together will be inspirational. This time will be informational. This time will be transformational. We're just grateful for each and every one of you. So welcome. We have a text and church number. If you go to that number, 415-991-7111, and if you're new to us, you can text the word welcome. Or if you've been with us for a while, you can text the word loop. And you will receive a digital card. You fill out some basic information. It's a way that we can establish some contact. And so we encourage you to do that. It's been a way that I've been able to connect with people who are around the country or might even be different parts of the world. Also, each Sunday we have a Zoom meeting, which is a way that we can connect. A lot of us have things that have been going on in our lives over the last year, and we have people who join us who've been physically present here, who've been with us online, maybe in different parts of the country. That Zoom meeting is now being changed to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. You can find the link on our website. If you go to events, you can see Virtual Courtyard. And the link is there, or if you get our e-newsletter, you will find the link there. It is such a joy to have the Unity in Marin choir singing for us, and they're doing it in a different way than they've been able to do the whole year. And so please enjoy as we have our opening community song with the Unity in Marin choir. At this time, we're going to have the prayer box brought up, and it looks to me like it's going to be Melanie bringing our prayer box. Well, I want to thank all of our prayer chaplains for their service, and they help hold us in prayer and in the high watch. And so we thank all of you for holding each other in prayer. As we go into prayer, I'd like for us to be remembering our country. I was thinking that since the conviction of Derek Chauvin, which encouraged a number of us, and yet I wonder if any of that could have happened without there being video footage, without so many witnesses, without there being public pressure. I still wonder if that could have happened. But what I've noticed is since that conviction, there's been a number of people of color, Black or Latinx, who have been killed under questionable circumstances. including in Alameda. And so we want to hold up our country. We want to hold up our world. The country of India is inundated right now with COVID-19. We want to lift up those people. We want to lift up our entire world and all the things that are going on in our lives. So I invite you to take a deep breath. And right where we are, we know the presence of God is. There is only the presence of God. We lift up our country. We lift up our country to know wholeness, unity, love. We lift up the country of India and all of the world with the things that various people are facing, knowing that the presence of God is fully present there as here. In this presence, God, we open ourselves to peace. We open ourselves to wholeness. We commit ourselves to justice, to equity. We commit ourselves to working as agents of light in this world. We open ourselves to be the light of the world. We give thanks for this spiritual community, Unity in Marin, celebrating 55 years as an incorporated spiritual center, church. Give thanks for all of those people who have invested their time, their money, their prayers to support this ministry that exists to support others. We give thanks, God. We are thankful and we are grateful. And so it is. Amen. And at this time, Gabe Paulson is going to lead us in our daily word and in our meditation.
Thank you, Reverend Bill. Good morning, everybody. It's just so nice to see you here, to have a filled, sacred space. The daily word for today is thankful. Thankfulness is my heart's natural expression. I need no reason to be thankful. I don't need a list of blessings to inspire my gratitude. The Unity author, Reverend Eric Butterworth, wrote, "One can be grateful with the same spontaneity as being happy. It simply flows forth from within, and it becomes a cause all on its own, a causative energy. With a thankful mind and heart, I release worry, I release frustration, trusting that every need will be met. I discover more of God's presence in myself and in others. Everywhere I go, I see possibilities for good, even in challenging circumstances. Eager to share my thankfulness, I welcome opportunities to be of service to others, just as I gratefully accept those blessings that people share with me. I live in the flow of life. I live in the flow of love. I live in the flow of peace. I live in abundant beauty. I am thankful." And as we prepare to go into the silent meditation, I invite you to just take a breath and notice all the good things around you. As we're standing here, the people who have come in person and all of those of you who are watching online, there's just so much beauty, tranquility, there's friendships, love. Everything is here. I don't need any more. So put your feet on the ground, if you will, and inhale gratitude. And when you exhale, let go of anything that's getting in the way. And let's give thanks for the mystery of life as we go into the silence. I am grateful. Thank you.
It's so nice to have our choir back together singing. I mean, Dr. Cindy Acker has kept the choir going through this entire time, online, working and individually working online with choir members and recording online, and now to have them be able to be together with singing mass and distancing, but be able to sing together. We're so grateful. Hallelujah. That's right. Unity as a movement is founded on prayer. That's how the Fillmores started it. That's how this has started from the very beginning as a prayer ministry. And we have a number of prayer chaplains who are with us today. If the prayer chaplains would stand, those prayer chaplains that are here and available to pray with people following the service, they're right here. Thank you, prayer chaplains. And I appreciate you holding the high watch for us. If you wish to leave a prayer request, you can call 415-475-5000, press 0, and that will go to Dory, our office manager, and she will pass that on to our prayer chaplains to hold you in prayer. Also, there is an online prayer service that we have called Silent Prayer Circle. You can email us at silentprayercircle@unityinmarin.org. And the Silent Prayer Circle will hold that in confidentiality and pray, and then send that to Silent Unity to be held for an additional 30 days of prayer. And speaking of Silent Unity, you can call Silent Unity any day of the week. Doesn't matter if it's a holiday or whatever, 24 hours a day. And it's available at 1-800-NOW-PRAY. 1-800-NOW-PRAY. They've been in constant prayer for over 125 years. So it's a great prayer resource when you're needing to reach out to somebody, and they hold that in confidentiality. We want to thank you for your prayer support for Unity in Marin. This has been a very unique year. Yes? And it's good to finally get together physically and be here in the same space. And not only have you been showing up through your prayer support, but by being the light of the world out in our community, and by your financial giving. We exist to support and assist others in their transformation. We exist to help bring equity and justice in this world. We exist to help bring unity principles that are transformative to people's lives. Your giving helps to support that. There's a number of ways in which you can give. You can go to our website at unityinmarin.org/donate, and you can donate there. Or you can find the donate button on our website. Or you can mail your offering to us at 600 Palm Drive, Novato, California, 94949. Or we have a text in church option. You can text money by going to 84321, and he'll ask you, how much do you want to give? It's very, very easy. We want to thank you for your support. Those of you who are here physically, we will have offering baskets out here in the narthex if you would like to leave an offering as you are leaving today. And we are so grateful for all of you. And again, we will hear from our choir as they will sing our giving song.
Is words, never said I wouldn't fall, never said that everything would go the way I wanted to go. But when my back is against the wall and I feel all hope is gone, I just lift my head up to the sky and say, help me to be strong.
I want to thank our choir, any of our choir members here, if you would stand. Our choir members, thank you. Thank you. We had a number of our choir members in the first service. Today I'm looking at wisdom from our history. When I was a child and someone would mention history, my energy level would immediately begin to plummet. Because at school, the most boring teacher they could find would be the one that would teach history. And they would teach history in a way that made it seem incredibly dry and boring. It's like, oh my goodness. I couldn't see how it applied to everyday life. It was later in life, like in seminary, when I was in seminary getting a Master of Divinity degree, that Dr. Paul Bassett taught church history. And it was a required class, and I thought, well, I'll see how this goes. Wow. It was one of the most exciting classes I'd ever taken because he was excited about it and was really into all the things that have happened in the past that affect where we're at right now. And then it became applicable. Then it became relevant. And I started studying other kinds of history. And then I started studying the history of history, how you make history, how you write history, what is good history versus anecdotal history. So looking at our history as a spiritual community, as a spiritual center. 55 years ago today, this church, Unity in Marin, was incorporated officially as a church. Yay! Now, it was meeting before that. It would meet in Reverend Candida Wright's living room. It met at a space, when it was like a prayer study or book study. It met in Knights of Columbus Hall. It met at one point at the Masonic Hall. It met various places, what's called church in a box, where you can set it up and take it down. But this place where we are, I want to go even further back in history and give thanks for the Miwok people. We are on the land that the first founders, the Miwok tribe of Northern California, this land was Miwok land. And when invaders came, now here in my history books as a child, they were called explorers. They were bringing civilization to people. But when invaders came, many of the Miwok tribe were decimated by illness that was brought. Many of them were abused or killed. So I want to first just take a moment of silence to honor and remember the Miwok people and to lift them up. Thank you. Of course, later on, this space, this area became Hamilton Field and became a military field, a military base. And this was the All Faiths Chapel for that military base. So I've run into people, since I've become the minister here, who told me, oh yeah, that's like where I went to Mass. And like, oh yeah, that's where I went to church. And it was various kinds of services. It was an interfaith chapel. And recently in our Getting Real with Race class, I have met someone who's become involved in our services. Thank you, Shift. Who was a child here, and his parents, Shift's parents, would bring Shift to this place for church. It has a rich history. And so I want to first look at, sometime back I gave an assignment or something for you to consider doing, which is to do a metaphysical interpretation of your own life. Like, if you look at the events in your life, what do you learn from it metaphysically? That is bigger than the physical, beyond just the surface. What is it that those events teach you? What is it that shows you? For example, like in my own life, I had difficulty fitting in the structure as a child growing up. I had my own structure. Thank you very much. I really didn't want to follow the teacher's agenda. I had my own ways of learning. But at that time, different ways of learning were not recognized. There was one way to learn, and that was the teacher's way. So what did that teach me? Well, at the time, I thought, wow, something's really wrong with me. Something is really bad with me. You know, I can remember a teacher shaking me and my head whipping back and forth, and she's screaming at me in front of the class, and her veins are sticking out on her forehead and her neck, and she's turning red, and she's screaming in my face, "What is wrong with you?" Metaphysically, how do I interpret that? The way I interpret that is that those events in my life, which show the programming of this world, were something for me to break through, to really evolve into who I am. To be able to say that there is nothing wrong with me and there's nothing wrong with you. You are not broken. You may feel very wounded. This has been a very difficult year. But what I have learned from that experience is how to relate to people who feel beaten down. What I've learned through that experience is that my life is the life of God in action. Thank you very much. And so is yours. So what about unity in Marin? We're here on the land of the Miwok people. I believe that we are here for such a time as this to be inclusive, to be invitational. We are here to really practice unity's second greatest principle, which is that each and every one of us is that carrier, that presence of the divine, that no matter how the outside looks, each and every person, no matter how they look, no matter how they act, each and every person is the carrier, is the presence of the divine. And what a time for us to be here, to help bring equity, to help bring healing with those who have been hurt. Just like I was saying, Derek Chauvin was convicted, and then since then, several times, people who are black or Latinx have been killed. Very questionable circumstances. It's for such a time as this that we are here to be inclusive, to be invitational. You know, no matter if you're black, Latinx, if you are Asian, if you are white, no matter who you are invited to the party. You might be Muslim, you might be Jewish, you might be atheist. You are welcome to the party. You may be gay, you may be trans. You are welcome to the party. Everyone is invited. We are here to be inclusive and invitational. I was part of a Catholic church in Wichita, Kansas, St. Vincent de Paul. Had a wonderful minister there, Father Mike. Father Mike, especially for Kansas, was very ecumenical, very open, very progressive. And when I was becoming a unity minister, or when I was moving that direction to become the spiritual leader at Unity of Wichita, I went in to talk to Father Mike. Now, I walked into the office, big office at St. Vincent de Paul, and the person in charge of worship there heard about that I was moving into that position as being the spiritual leader at Unity of Wichita. And she was so excited, and she ran to me and she embraced me and she said, "Tim, I'm so happy for you." And she meant it. I said, "Is Reverend Mike here?" Now, before that, It's a long story, but before that I had been with Unity for several years. Then I went to explore the contemplative practice, mysticism within the Catholic Church, and as part of the Benedictine order. And then I reconnected with Unity, partially spurred on by my wife. Anyway, that's another story. And so I met with Reverend Mike, and I told Reverend Mike, hey, I'm becoming the spiritual leader of Unity of Wichita. And he's like, oh, congratulations, Tim, that's great news. But it looked like there's a little sadness there too. I said, now, how many people here grew up Catholic? Okay, I just want to get a read of the room. Okay. So I said to Reverend Mike, Father Mike, Father Mike, so what's the scoop? After I become a Unity minister, am I welcome to communion? Am I welcome to the Eucharist? Because many times, typically in the Catholic Church, you kind of get the right foot of fellowship. Father Mike leaned forward and he said, whose table is it, Tim? I said, well, it's the Lord's table. And he said, right. And who did he invite? Well, he invited everybody. He even invited Judas, who he knew was going to betray him. He said, right. This is the Lord's table. Of course you're invited. Think about that. Are we invitational? Are we inclusive? Are we welcoming to such a degree that when someone walks in, they say, I'm home? Maybe they're from a different background. Might be Pentecostal. They might shout hallelujah once in a while in the service. Can you handle it? They might be a Zen master, and they might just be in stoic silence throughout the service. Can we handle it? Can we handle whatever, whoever? Because we are inclusive. We are invitational. Secondly, we are inspirational. So many teachers, so many leaders have been here that have brought inspiration, that have brought transformation in our lives. I've heard about Reverend Candida Wright. I heard that she could just hold the presence in a way that was so transformative. I think about Reverend Richard Manti and how he helped this community to move into these facilities and with the fundraising. I think about Reverend Bill Engelhardt, who helped establish our live streaming, which if we didn't have that, this last year would have been a real bummer. So through the last year, we were actually able to double in attendance from the year before. Thank you, Reverend Bill, for setting that up. Reverend Medora Gordon was the acting senior minister after Reverend Bill left and before I came. Reverend Medora Gordon was my mentor as I was becoming a Unity minister. She saw good in me. She saw skill in me. I don't think I'd be here if it wasn't for her. There's been other teachers like Janice Campbell and and Nancy Foster, who is here, and different teachers who have helped us to transform and to grow. And that's what we are about. We are about helping humanity to transform. People are looking for this. They're looking for it through our literature. Someday, we will reopen our bookstore, Christine Morgan, where we have books that are transformational. Someday, it's coming, I can feel it. We started this Montessori school with the help of Dr. Cindy Acker and Sarah Lavallee and Reverend Bill. And the Montessori school is such a transformative place for children. This is a transformational place. We're here to be inclusive and invitational. We are here to be inspirational. And we are here to be innovative and imaginative. This was one of the problems I had as a child growing up. I have a big imagination. I'm very, very, very creative. Like, I plan on being in that Unity's Got Talent show, but I'm trying to decide what it is I want to do. Because there's several ways I can go with it, you know? So I may do a combination of things. My imagination has always been very, very active. How nice when one finds a teacher who knows how to work with one's imagination and doesn't see it as a detriment. Timmy, you daydream too much. Your imagination just goes wild. I need you to focus. Thank you. Thank you. So those voices from the past, again, call to us to say, hey, what metaphysically does that say? It's saying we are here to be imaginative. We are here to be innovative. We can't just do things the way we've always done them in the past. We have to continue to morph to meet the needs of people. There are some churches that this last year was just wiped them out. They didn't have live streaming going. They didn't have a lot of things going. And what we are going to do as part of our strategic plan as a church, we are going to continue to innovate. Part of our main goals in our strategic plan is to develop an educational program. It could be a year-long program where a person can drop in at the level where they need to and receive classes. These classes will be online and they will be in person. We're planning on having some classes that are simultaneously in person and online, where the people who are here in person can interact live with those who are studying online. All right? We are looking at ways of developing an online platform for other New Thought speakers, leaders, New Thought churches in the area, so that we can collaborate. Unity in Marin is not in competition with anybody. We are here to help others to grow, to transform, and the best way we can do that is to collaborate with other communities. Because if we're all just trying to do it in our own little private silos, we're missing out on the common good that we can bring to one another. So in our absolute abundance classes, we've already been working collaboratively with Unity San Francisco, building up these classes. Please join the flight class that's coming up very soon. I believe it's starting May 11th, and it will transform your life as you think about your life really taking flight, as you think about your life really expanding and growing. So we are going to continue to do that. When this service is over, on the big screen, we'll be playing an interview between Reverend Bill and myself. And it's about 30 minutes long. Also out in the narthex, there will be some videos playing of past events and people from Unity and Marin, including Richard Manti. Over here, there are photo albums where you can see the history of various things that have happened. Ministry can be challenging work. It's also fun and it's also fulfilling. But I remember when someone was talking to me about going into ministry because they needed to take a break in their life. I wasn't sure that was the right step for them to take if they were wanting a vacation. It's fulfilling. It's wonderful. I want us to play just a little clip. Reverend Bill and I talked about all the wonderful things that were accomplished while he was here. There's some wonderful things in it, and I was very, very touched that Bill told me. I wish I had shared this the first service. Bill told me, Tim, every single day, I pray for Unity and Marin, and I pray for you. That so touched me. Let's hear just a little bit of a clip from Reverend Bill. I've gotten lots of remarks from people of how this community has healed them. So again, I thank you for your leadership, for how you helped to build that, how you helped to build that online, and help to really build this place that cares for one another. And by your teaching, your talks, your leadership, your example, you help contribute a great deal to this community that continues, as some people tell me, save their lives. Save their lives in terms of finding spiritual principles and that deep sense of community and love that is expressed to one another. Now, before we started recording, you were telling me some things that Richard Manti was saying, and that there's no way that anybody could really understand what all a minister is doing or experiences or necessarily goes through, because so much of it is behind the scenes, unless you've actually done it. And so we've talked about a lot of accomplishments, and obviously it's a lot of work, but what are some of your favorite memories here, or what are some of the funniest memories? Either one, because it's fun too. I mean, yeah, it's a lot of work, and it's also fun. At least I hope it was for you at times.
I tell people it was the most challenging work I've ever done in my life, and it was the most rewarding work I'd ever done in my life. I mean, both of those things coming together. And there were times, a lot of funny moments. I remember I was giving a talk once, and I'm up on the platform, and I'm speaking, and all of a sudden I see all the people in the congregation going like this, going back and forth, like there's a tennis match going on behind me. I'm like wondering, well, I don't know what's going on here. And so finally I realized there's a horsefly around my head. Right? And, it's like, what are you going to do?
You're being upstaged.
I was being upstaged by a fly. Right? Totally engrossed. It was hilarious. And so I just reach up, whew, in a million shot, I caught it.
Did you really?
And the whole thing was like stunned, right? And I was talking like it's no big deal.
Right.
And then I'm thinking, as a minister, you'll appreciate this. And what am I going to do with this? If I kill it, that's not going to look very ministerial.
Right.
If I go splat on the platform. So I'm thinking, and I'm talking, and they're just like jaws open. So I get off the stage, and there's the side door.
Right.
I just open the side door and let it out. And I come back in, and the whole place goes up for grabs.
That's great.
They're howling, and it's it's
I
hilarious.
love it.
And I'm in the line. This is the end of the second service, and a guy comes through. I kid you not. I thought he was joking. He said, "Did you do that in the first service too?" I'm like, "Oh yeah."
You have a trained horsefly.
That's what I thought. I said, "Yeah, that's my pet fly."
You can hear more of this interview after the service. We're also going to live stream it. For those of you who are live streaming, we'll play it after the service. But it's so good to think about all the ways in which this community has touched other people's lives, how it's helped to bring healing and transformation by being inclusive and invitational, by being inspirational, and by being innovative and imaginative. We continue to imagine what we can be in the future, what we can be in the next 55 years. We are open to the movement of Spirit in new ways. So we are going to announce in a few weeks some of those changes that will be happening that will help establish some new growth, new trends, new transformation, new education in our community. We want you to know that we're not here to just hold on to the status quo. We are here to move forward. We're here to keep those traditions that we have, as well as to innovate and to grow. We are here for such a time as this. Our history helps us to learn the wisdom of what it is we need to do, how we need to adapt. I want to thank all of you for being a part of it. I want to share one more short video, and if we could play that short video that Reverend Bill expressed. Thank you.
I think on the individual level, there were fires a few years ago, and one of our congregants, their house burned down. And they were in church that Sunday, and they said they were really looking for a place to stay while their house gets rebuilt. And of course, after a fire knocks out hundreds of homes, rental, properties are few and far between. And I put it out to the congregation that Sunday to say, we need to help our congregants. Does anybody know anyone that can help them find a rental place for up to a year or so while they're going to rebuild? And before the day was over, they had somebody. They had a place.
Oh, nice.
And so on the individual level, I was really proud of that. I'm proud of individuals who've gone on to do, wonderful things. Of course, our friend Reverend Medora Gordon.
Right. Uh-huh.
To school, getting ordained. Her selfless service throughout the years to the community is remarkable. We're all indebted.
I agree.
It's that many people will never fully realize. And it was really an honor to be in ministry with her and to see the dedication and all the lives that she's touched and all the challenges that the organization went through, and she was right there. So I'm just so proud of her.
Mm.
There's a lot to be thankful for here. A lot of gratitude. We're so grateful all of you are part of this wonderful community. I'd like to invite you to repeat after me as we do our affirmations, including those of you who are online. So take a deep breath because we're going to do this with gusto, okay? I am. Inclusive. I am. Invitational. I am. Inspirational. I am. Imaginative. I am. Innovative. I am the presence of God in action. And so it is. Amen. Thank you.
Wow, thank you, choir. Thank you. That was just uplifting, and I feel like during COVID, there's been a song going on the entire year and a half of a song of hope, a song of love, a song of faith, and I think you're singing it, and thank you for that. And I want to thank Reverend Tim for such a great message. I really think that the message of inclusiveness, I think that, Reverend Tim, that is your superpower. I do think that you have this ability to make everybody feel loved and welcomed, and no outsiders here. And you know what? I think you met your match. I think this place is full of really loving and inclusive people, and it's what makes us unity and why we're here 55 years later. And Reverend Bill also, I'm sorry, Reverend Bill, I won't mention him in a second, but Reverend Tim was saying in the beginning how history can be so very boring, and I agree. I think it can be. And one thing I try to do to bring it to life is to walk through history, and I did that this morning. So I just wanted to take 60 seconds and tell you when I got up. I live in Larkspur, and I drove over here past the Masonic Lodge, which is where we had Church in a Box. And I thought about how this place had been set up in hair salons and Knights of Columbus and different offices and whatnot, and just how it's the people, not the assets, and the people are the asset, and how that really is the thread. And then I walked into a small room there, the meditation chapel, which is dedicated to Candida Wright, who was the first person. And what a great tribute. She really gave all of her life earnings, everything, to make this possible. And to me, that's when you put your hands on something and you ordain it, that's an ordination. An ordination that this is not a material place, it's a spiritual place where we happen to enjoy such beauty from people's generosity. And that's all of you in here, the kind of tithing that goes on. And so I sat there and looked at the wall and said, "Peace, be still," I read from this wonderful painting, and thought about how I hope she's with us and feeling that peace. And then I texted Valerie and Mark Marshall and tried to get in touch with Reverend Manti that way. And just knowing that he brought so much love, and I still hear from people how his spontaneity and his warmth, and that just took this to another level. And then Reverend Bill, I felt really, it was special to text him, and I got a text right back. And it was about that time where I got on the board, and I became board president eventually. And you get closer to a person. I just have these great memories. For the 12 years he was here doing scrambled eggs, just to keep us awake and with the smells and giving us spiritual food. And then he would put prison bars up every Easter, and I think he worked a lot in San Quentin. And it was a way of kind of giving more meaning and accent to the notion of resurrection and unfreeing yourself from this kind of inner confinement. And just a really special person. And we've seen more, and it's good to see him healthy and just connected with us in the way he is. And then Reverend Medora, just been duly honored today. And I think, as Reverend Bill was leaving, we all sat in my small living room, and we're like, what's next? Or as Reverend Bill would say, where's the faith? WTF? And so we really, I think, found ourselves. We were searching for a minister, but we really kind of found ourselves too as a community, because we, and I remember the one service towards the end where Reverend Medora was speaking here, and I just thought of when she was at our chaplain retreat. She told us the name Medora, I think, is from a Greek word meaning gift, like a small box or something. And I felt that she had finally found the key and was there, undefended, unguarded, open, speaking with her heart. And I just wanted to run up and hug her. And that's what I did this morning, is I just gave her that hug. And what a great time for her and for us. And then Reverend Tim, when he came from Hawaii, I was one of the first people to meet him, and I just thought that's superpower. He really does come with the kind of love and the kind of innocence and the kind of inclusiveness and innovation that we need. So it's just 55 years is just a number, but it's full of stories, and there's so many people to honor. I think whenever we say those names, I hope all of you can put your hand on your heart and also realize that runs through you, because there's only so many names that you can name, but it's really all of us, and it's made Unity so special. And the one last thing I wanted to say is I read a myth recently that in the Polynesian culture, they believe people were always immortal, and the only reason people started dying is because they refused to change. And that's why we're mortal, because we refuse to change. And I believe your message today about the last eye of those 5 eyes, innovation, is truly where the next 55 years go. Do we innovate? It's scary sometimes, whether it's facing race or getting online or changing up the service or even facing our own fates. But that is why we're here. That is why I'm here. I'm here for the inclusivity. I'm here for the innovation. And it's here in droves. So thank you all. Thank you for this community. And speaking of which, we have this special person, Reverend Dr. Cindy Acker, and not only does she have a PhD, she is a talent show of her own with the music, starting the Montessori, and of course now giving these talks. And I highly encourage you to go to the Getting Real with Race talks, because it's scriptural. It's in the basic message. Inclusion is what Jesus taught. Inclusion is really one of the cornerstones of all spiritualities. And so it's a good time for us to kind of face our polite ignorance and really just figure out how to connect, how to make social justice a reality. So thank you, Cindy, and please join her Wednesdays 6 to 7:30. The other thing we have, of course, is a talent show, and we've had that for years and years. I remember at some point we had people hanging from the ceiling and circus acts. And when I think about the incredible things that have happened in the 15 years or so, I've been here maybe last 10 years. It's just, I think Unity in Marin is a talent show every day. And when I look at this space, we have these artists of the heart who create sacred space. We have these wordsmiths of prayer who connect with us thousands of times a year in the chaplaincy and so forth. It's really just a celebration of the talent that is here every day and all the time. But it is a fundraiser, and if you can join us, the date has been moved to May 21st, and it's a chance to see people like Reverend Tim, who's multi-talented, and many others, and just come on, come one, come all. It's online, it's easy, and it's a chance to receive and give at the same time. So we had already mentioned it's our 55th anniversary, so there's more coming. Stay around. There's wonderful stuff in this space for those of you online. This is a really special place if you can come. We have 2 services now, and this is the second service where we're speaking. And it's really a campus. It's a kind of retreat every Sunday that you can give to yourself, and the people here really do have those superpowers of love, and I can't say enough about the warmth here. One class we're doing is Absolute Abundance, and that is on Tuesdays starting May 11th. And again, part of our vision for the future is kind of creating a Unity Village West. So we have now the power of the internet, and we have many other people who partner with us, and there's just so much giving and richness and learning to do and innovation and inclusion, and we're weaving it together here on this Novato campus. But this is a great talk, Reverend Deanne and Unity in San Francisco, a chance to feel that gratefulness. What really is abundance? It's already there. It's just someone to remind you of what you already know. And the last slide here is another chance to just give some thanks. Our service sponsor today is Claire, who's sitting with us, and I embarrassed her a little bit before, but I really do feel it's so appropriate to honor Claire for being such an example of giving. Claire has given through the choir. We saw her singing. She has given through the chaplaincy for maybe 15 plus years. She was on the board of trustees for almost a decade. She really, really is one of the people that shines for me and for all of us. And I think of Hall of Fame. This is my Hall of Gratitude. And Claire, you're a big member of my Hall of Gratitude, so thank you. I just want to call out a few more names. Sarah LaValle, we mentioned, the Engels, Mel and Sam, Heidi and Steve Listig, many, many others, all of you who've been on boards, been in choirs, just too many names to name, but I'm looking at every one of you, and I feel you're in my Hall of Gratitude, and thank you, thank you. And so with that, let's close our service with our prayer for protection and our peace song. So the light of God, it surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. And let's close with our peace song.
Reverend Bill Engelhardt, who was the previous senior minister here at Unity in Marin for, was it 13 years? Mm-hmm. Yes, for 13 years before I came. And there are so many things that I am grateful to you for, Reverend Bill, in terms, and he and I were just talking, but maybe I'll ask you, what are some of the things that you see as big accomplishments that occurred there at Unity in Marin while you were there? We were just talking about some of that before we started recording, but what are some of the things that you see that really were big accomplishments at Unity in Marin?
Well, first, I just want to say thank you for having me, Tim. It's so great.
Absolutely.
I think Unity in Marin is totally blessed in having you as their senior minister.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Some of the accomplishments over the years that I was there, I think the first one was just coming through the Great Recession. I got there in 2006, and then in 2008, the bottom falls out. People are losing their jobs, their houses. Unity in Marin had a really good rental program for weddings and events, and so that was a good source of income. But when the Great Recession happened, it was a double punch because people were losing their jobs and their houses, et cetera, and so donations were going down. And then when it came to people having their weddings, people couldn't afford to rent a place anymore, so they were doing it in their backyard. And so it was just a punch right away. And the organization, we made it through, with all the changes and things that we had to do and cost cutting, et cetera. That was very difficult. I'm just so proud of the organization to have made it through the Great Recession.
Right. Wow.
To be able to climb back out of that. Over the years, paying down a big part of the mortgage, not all of it. I wanted it all paid off for you.
Thanks.
I tried,
Thank you.
Paid off the mortgage. It's just not a sexy fundraising thing.
Right. That's true. Yeah.
But, we did redo Unity Hall, just remodeled the whole thing, the bathrooms, that are in the, right next to Unity Hall, redoing those things. I remember negotiating with banks for the mortgage to every year or so, a couple of years we'd have to refinance. And the idea came up in a board meeting to reach out to the Marin Community Foundation to see if they would take on the mortgage. And they had never taken on a church before. And I remember when we made the application, I sent them a list, or not just a list, but copies of thank you notes from all kinds of organizations, charities, et cetera, that Unity in Marin had been supporting.
Right.
They would send us thank you notes. And so it was like an inch thick, right?
Amazing.
We sent all that in. And later on, after we got the loan, I learned that a lot of those same organizations that we were supporting, they were as well. Mm-hmm. So that refinancing through them saved thousands of dollars a month.
Fantastic.
The bank rate to the Marin Community Foundation. So that's one of those, behind the scenes thing. Not everybody looks out.
Yes.
It's huge for the organization. Great to partner with them. And of course, opening the Montessori school, Cindy Acker, of course, when I sat down with her once, I was trying to figure out different ways to bring in other sources of income. And I was asking her about, do you know anybody that needs a music school or something like that? And she didn't. And then I asked her, well, I don't really know you. Tell me about yourself. And found out all that she knows about Montessori and the schools that she's opened. And so, her knowledge, skills, abilities, and willingness to shepherd us through that process was just huge. And the other person that was equally important in bringing that off was Sarah Lavallee. I mean, she is one of the smartest people I know, and she took the bull by the horns.
Right.
Her and Cindy, I mean, they ramrodded that thing. They did an incredible job. I'm like, just tell me what you need me to do.
Right. And I just want to jump in here and say that, that mortgage with
the Marin Community Foundation. They've been so supportive. They've given us a forbearance throughout the pandemic, so we haven't had to make any mortgage payments, no extra interest, just tagged on extra time at the end of the mortgage. And that starting of the Hamilton Montessori School was pure genius. It has now become monthly a fantastic contributor financially, $8,000 a month coming to the ministry through that school. We've had over 18 children on the waiting list. We are expanding into the sanctuary. I just want to thank you for, and Sarah and Cindy and all of those involved for helping to set that up. And it's such a beautiful ministry. I see those kids whenever I'm on campus. It was a stroke of genius.
Well, that was definitely a divine idea. You know, we thought about it for years, but I never knew anybody knew anything about it. And then here to sit across from Cindy, and like she's the oracle of it. So
Right.
to run through all the traps to get it done. It was really a divine idea, because as soon as it came up, having the right person, having the right team, one of our administrative assistants contacted a school nearby that had closed, and they were willing to donate all kinds of chairs and desks and playground equipment.
Wow.
You know, to us. And so yes. But then how do you go pull up a playground, out of the ground? It turns out we had another congregant, his company sold playgrounds. And so he knew everything about it. And so he came with the equipment. We had, I don't know how many guys, that were digging out, knocking the concrete out.
That's amazing.
Congregants, collecting everything up, cleaning everything. And so it was one of those things where the congregation was definitely involved. I mean, we didn't know. So we went to the board, got supported, and went to the congregation and explained, why I thought it was important. And for them to be able to get behind it and then to see all those things happen.
That's fantastic.
Just a pure joy. And I'm so glad that things have gone as well as you're saying. One of the things that I did as we built that playground was that I wrote a prayer on a big piece of paper about seeing the future and seeing hundreds of children being educated there and the joy it would bring.
Oh, that's awesome.
In the cement that went down. And at the time, that seemed like a dream, because there was, all kinds of challenges. But I'm so pleased to hear the things.
Well, that is wonderful. Was that Kurt Ware?
Yes, that's exactly what. Yes.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, put in the playground. Oh, that's awesome. So the mortgage, the school, the playground. What are some of the other big accomplishments? You and I were just sharing about the live streaming and
the live streaming back early on. Josh Holmes, who used to work with us, work at
right. Yes.
And, just a phenomenal guy, knows about technology. And early on, I was a big proponent, and he had the knowledge to be able to say, how are we going to live stream? How are we going to? Well, first, it was go on the CDs or cassettes. The CDs.
Yes. I remember those days. Yeah.
I remember duplicating.
Yes.
Cassettes in the day. But to go through all that and to be able to, get the technology, and again, we didn't have tons of people at the time that were watching us online, but we had people from different countries, from South America,
Yes.
Sweden, from Europe, all over. People were tuning in. It wasn't the hundreds of people, but it was a place I felt we really needed to be. And the analogy I used was, there was a time when newspapers didn't want to put their articles online because they figured they're giving it away for free.
Right.
If they didn't do that, they're out of business now.
Right.
So
that's right.
The same way about technology. We need to be out there and doing it. And I'm so glad to see that that's continued, and under, your leadership, how it's grown.
Yeah. That was, again, I mean, not all Unity churches have invested in building that platform and that foundation of having that kind of online live streaming and to build the virtual congregation. I know at Unity Worldwide Ministries, we did some research, and this was 2 or 3 years ago, okay? And of all the Unity churches that we researched, only about 35 or 37 of them that we could identify were doing live streaming. Mm-hmm. And I was shocked when I saw that. I was like, are you kidding me? And so when we got into the pandemic and sheltered in place, I'm so grateful we had that platform and that ability to connect with people online. What a huge gift. And then to be able to build on that and build the church, as I was sharing with you, so that now there's twice as many people. So thank you. Wow. Thank you so much for that.
I'm so glad to see that investment and that time has paid off, and that you were able to take it and then really do with it what we had at one point, just really hoped would happen.
Yes. Right.
Fruition. So
right. Thank you. That's awesome. I also wanted to ask you about what do you see as being some of the ways in which Unity in Marin has really changed people's lives? While you were here, what was some of the evidence that you saw that people's lives were really being touched and changed by Unity in Marin's involvement?
Well, I think there's so many different things from the individual to the organizational level. I remember that we helped a lot of nonprofits schools that would come and do fundraisers at Unity Marin. And we had a guy that was an auctioneer, and we had a certain way in which we did it that was very successful for us. And so we gave that away. We told her, here's some ideas, to help you with your fundraising. And that really, mushroomed out, that every person who came, every organization, they did better in their fundraising because we were able to help them. Look at the
nice.
I think on the individual level, there were fires a few years ago, and one of our congregants, their house burned down, and they were in church that Sunday, and they said they were really looking for a place to stay while their house gets rebuilt. And of course, after a fire knocks out hundreds of homes, rental, properties are few and far between. And I put it out to the congregation that Sunday to say, we need to help our congregants. Does anybody know anyone that can help them find a rental place for up to a year or so while they're going to rebuild? And before the day was over, they had somebody. They had a place.
Oh, nice.
And so on the individual level, I was really proud of that. I'm proud of individuals who've gone on to do, wonderful things. Of course, our friend Reverend Medora Gordon.
Right.
Went to school, getting ordained. Her selfless service throughout the years to the community is remarkable. We're all indebted.
I agree.
Is that many people will never fully realize. And it was really an honor to be in ministry with her and to see the dedication and all the lives that she's touched and all the challenges that the organization went through. And she was right there. So I'm just so proud of her. I'm proud of Reverend Leanne Vong, who was a congregant of ours, was on the board involved in the church, and then she went on to get ordained at Unity Village, and so she's touching hundreds of people's lives as well. I think Elisa Starbird, who was running Wednesday night services, where we had little to nothing going on Wednesday night.
Yes.
And she just took it over. I'm like, do whatever you want. And she ends up bringing in Karen Drucker, every month. Steve Halpern, the godfather of New Age music. He comes in. I love the guy. And he was just so mellow. He'd come and he'd do it every month. And, we had the New Year's Eve drumming circle that came out of that. I mean, just so many people's lives were touched. And that was a ministry that, Lisa was really running. And I knew that on Wednesday night, there were people that couldn't come to Sundays, but they could come to a Wednesday. And so they were getting filled that way. So I know a lot of people got touched. of course, every board I had at Unity and Marin, I was so proud of, and they were just so awesome. So many selfless, people, talented, whether it was Gabe or Sarah or Al Gaspari, Pamela, Claire. I mean, I could go on, and if I didn't mention your name, it just goes so many. But I'm indebted to all of you who really, their dedication to the organization was huge. And the organization would never have been what it is without them and the people that came before.
Right.
I think about the circulation day. Once a year, we'd have people just clean out their closet or, their storage unit, whatever you're not using anymore, bring it to church, and we're just going to give it away. It's not going to be a garage sale or anything else. And people from the neighborhood would know when that was going to happen, and they would just come. And I'm like, that's totally fine.
Nice.
Want to keep it in circulation.
Right.
Out. So I know there were thousands of people, that over the years that were able to release what was no longer serving them, then to be able to pick up something.
Right. That's wonderful.
Life would. And so I was really proud how that really blossomed. The blood drives, the putting packages together to support our troops, exposing people to new thought by partnering with the local religious science church. And we brought in Michael Beckwith several times. We brought Deepak Chopra, Marianne Williamson. We'd rent out a huge place and bring people.
That's wonderful.
Connected to these ideas and new thought. And so there's thousands and thousands of people. We had a choir from Oakland would come over. I mean, it was just
right.
It was just wonderful. And so many of our congregants put together things, backpack drives for the homeless. Bill Ham, every year, the whole Unity Hall would be full of backpacks and all kinds of stuff, and high school kids would come and stuff them, and then, get in vans and give them out to homeless people, throughout the Bay Area. Giving the place for free to Compassionate Friends, which is an organization where if someone lost a child.
Yes, right. Yeah.
Give them the facility. Of course, Bread and Roses, having them do their fundraiser every year for free. And they're the one that bring music to prisons and nursing homes and that kind of thing. And of course, so many lives were touched within the organization. Congregants helping each other through illness, through injury, and end of life, that they would be there. You could be an older person in this congregation and maybe not have, young people in your life, but the church was there. People that are bringing you something, visiting you, the whole 9 yards. So that always really touched my heart. So and hopefully my talks made some difference.
I know they did. And one of the things that I consistently hear is the healing power of this community. How they've been there for each other through all of this. I don't know if you were referring to Frank and Claire Gallardo that had been burnt out up in the Santa Rosa area. I think of how people reached out to them or reached out to others in their time of need. And so recently, I've gotten lots of remarks from people of how this community has healed them. So again, I thank you for your leadership, for how you helped to build that, how you helped to build that online, and help to really build this place that cares for one another. And by your teaching, your talks, your leadership, your example, you help contribute a great deal to this community that continues, as some people tell me, save their lives. Save their lives in terms of finding spiritual principles and that deep sense of community and love that is expressed to one another. Now, before we started recording, you were telling me some things that Richard Manti was saying, and that there's no way that anybody could really understand what all a minister is doing or experiences or necessarily goes through, because so much of it is behind the scenes, unless you've actually done it. And so we've talked about a lot of accomplishments, and obviously it's a lot of work, but what are some of your favorite memories here, or what are some of the funniest memories? Either one, because it's fun too. I mean, yeah, it's a lot of work, and it's also fun. At least I hope it was for you at times.
I tell people it was the most challenging work I've ever done in my life, and it was the most rewarding work I'd ever done in my life. I mean, both of those things coming together. And there were times, a lot of funny moments. I remember I was giving a talk once, and I'm up on the platform, and I'm speaking, and all of a sudden I see all the people in the congregation going like this, going back and forth, like there's a tennis match going on behind me. I'm like wondering, well, I don't know what's going on here. Until finally I realized there's a horsefly around my head. Right? And, it's like, what are you going to do?
You're being upstaged.
I was being upstaged by a fly. Right? Totally engrossed. It was hilarious. And so I just reach up, within a million shot, I caught it.
Did you really?
I caught it. And the whole thing was like stunned, right? And I was talking like it's no big deal.
Right.
But then I'm thinking, as a minister, you'll appreciate this. And what am I going to do with this? If I kill it, that's not going to look very ministerial.
Right.
If I go slam on the platform. So I'm thinking, and I'm talking, and they're just like jaws open. So I get off the stage, and there's the side door.
Right.
I just open the side door and let it out, and I come back in, and the whole place goes up for grabs.
That's great.
They're howling, and it's it's hilarious.
I love it.
And I'm in the line. This is the end of the second service, and a guy comes through. I kid you not. I thought he was joking. He said, "Did you do that in the first service too?" I'm like, oh yeah.
You have a trained horsefly.
That's what I thought. I said, "Yeah, that's my pet fly." I mean, that was just killed me. There's another time I was doing a talk, and I had a surprise for the congregation. I had a guy that ran a big cat sanctuary bring in a full-grown mountain lion.
Wow.
Behind the stage and put it up on a table. Right, so I'm doing the talk, and in the middle of the talk, he knows when to come out.
Okay.
He's the cat up on the stage. This thing's like 150 pounds, and it's big. And I remember asking him, I'm like, so, I got my back to him. How do you keep him from not reaching out, clawing me? Right. I got some food, some meat, things. And he said, that'll be good. And I'm like, we have 2 services. And then he was like, He goes, well, I'll be out of the food by then. I'm like, okay. And, to this day, people talk about, oh my God, Bill brought a mountain lion on stage. But my question is always, so what was my talk about?
Nobody can tell you, but they remember the mountain lion.
That's right. I learned something there. I'm like, if you're going to pull something like that, it better be at the end of the talk. And of course, the talk was Daniel and the Lion's Den.
Ah, okay. Great. How apropos.
I look back at some of those things and go, I learned,
That's so fun. And it is a fun place. It's a fun community, fun group of people. And I know that you connected with so many people here, and, we're here for 13 years. I just want to thank you for your work that you did here. And I hope this is okay to share. We can edit this out if it's not. But you were sharing with me a little bit earlier, Bill, that you hold this church and me in your prayers every day. And that means so much to me, to know that we continue to be in your prayers. And the work that you did continues to go forward and to expand in new ways. And we just bless you and give thanks for the work that you did here in helping Unity and Marin to prosper, helping it to thrive as a community, and helping it to really unfold into even more greatness. Thank you so much.
thank you. And I send my love and blessings to all the people at Unity in Marin. You're all in my heart. And
Wow.
blessings to you, Tim, for being the right person.
Thank you.
Time to lead Unity in Marin forward.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much. It's a blessing to have you here.